Good morning. My name is Joel Adell. President Abraham Lincoln once said, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." In a later speech, he said, "A nation of free men, we must live through all time or die by suicide." As citizens of the United States of America, we are heavily involved in our nation's politics. As a matter of fact, our nation's domestic health is heavily reliant on our political health and where it stands. I urge you to listen. I urge you to hear the political tensions within our country, to understand its cataclysmic outcomes, and to be better when debating politics. My first point, political tension, can be defined as the country with polarizing political beliefs. The stronger the polarization, the stronger the political tension. We were warned multiple times. We were warned by George Washington, warned by Abraham Lincoln, and warned by David Blight, a historian, which I will bring up later in the speech. The current tension within the country is strong. Ever since the election of President Donald J. Trump, we have seen a shift. Racial tension has arisen. Equality upon that racial tension. Police brutality. Pro-life versus pro-choice. Not to mention the LGBTQ community. In the past few years, religious rights, the list goes on and on. Pew Research Center has said Americans have rarely been as polarized as they are today. A research center says Americans have rarely been as polarized as we are today. Our nation's been through a lot. Rare would probably fall in line with those of civil war, civil rights movements, and such. Over 300 years, just about 300 years, this nation has been standing. And over 300 years, we've only come so close to tearing each other apart. The political tension is building. Heavy ideas, heavy ideals, issues causing this divide in our country could be seen as the fight for racial equality, can be seen as police brutality and how to handle it, can be seen as LGBTQ community and their rights, can be seen as pro-life versus pro-choice, religion versus the atheist and the scientist. The list goes on. And this is not to explain the economic differences, the international relation differences, how we should handle the military, how we should handle COVID, how we should handle healthcare, Social Security. The simple list has been put on the back burner because for the past few decades, tensions have been growing over very heavy and core issues. The fight between liberals and conservatives is in the very definition that freedoms versus conserving what we have. And as the tensions grow, we lead to my second point, the possible outcomes of these, not debates, but fights. Civil war. Politics is a heavy factor in America's Civil War. Historians define politics as a contest over power, according to our history professor, Laura McEnany. Dr. McEnany continues in saying, for the American Civil War, political tensions were very important. At first, it was the Confederacy wanting to separate from the Union. That was the cause of the Civil War, and that is a heavy political reason. Not after long, it was about slavery. She continued to say that slavery is impossible to tie away from politics. It was an economic standpoint for the South, and for the North, blacks, if they had the right to vote, would probably vote for the people who set them free. So, as we see this Civil War and this possible outcome, we also come to hate. Hate. It's a strong word, and it's a word that doesn't need to be taken lightly. In fact, it needs to be taken heavily. We are so focused on our own beliefs, we ignore the rights or the lefts because they can't possibly understand, because they can't possibly know what we need as a person, what we need to happen as a nation. We feel that our way is the right way, and the other way, as they say, is the highway. There is no right and wrong. Not all the time. Sometimes. Not all the time. And as we see people like Donald Trump, people marching onto the Capitol, I don't doubt that it's easy to see hate in their eyes and reflect and hate back. Look at yourself in the mirror next time you have a political debate with somebody. Look at how you look when talking about it. Be angry. Be upset. Debate. Don't hate. Don't fight. Because it's easy to hate Republicans when you're Democrat, easy to hate Democrats when you're Republican. But there is an issue in that. Hate would lead to the end of this nation. This nation was founded on democracy. The moment we stop debating as a democratic country and start fighting as a country who has the rebel group and the government is the moment we lead ourselves into another civil war. The moment we become like the Spanish. The moment we become like the Cubans. My third point, we need to rethink our political approach. We won't agree on everything. That's the fact. This country was not built on the idea that we would come to unison in one idea, one ideal. We would not be a nation who all thought the same way. That's a dictatorship, not a democracy. The moment that Democrats, all Democrats, have it their way, that there is no balancing power. The whole reason for a House, for a Senate, the whole reason for 3 branches of the government is because we need balance of power. And the real trueness of the fact is Donald J. Trump tipped that balance. He changed all 3 branches of the government to the Republican power. Not fair and not right, considering when realistically the popular vote went to Democrats. Realistically, probably more than half the nation is Democrat. And yet, he pushed government into one direction. He didn't want to help the democratic ideal. We must be sympathetic and open-minded. The moment we shut out the Republican because he doesn't believe what we believe, the moment we shut out the Democrat because he doesn't believe what we believe, is the moment we stop being a nation in a democracy. It's the moment we start being one side of a dictatorship. Socialist Democrat cannot have it all their way. Radical Republicans cannot have it all their way. Because without this balance of power, we are no longer a democracy. We are no longer the United States of America. We need to debate, not fight. We need to talk and listen. And listen. Don't talk to, talk with. Don't get angry. Be civil. Take in what you hear. Think it. If you have a question about morals, ask it. Lincoln warned us against fighting. He said a house against itself will fall. It cannot stand. We will become no longer the United States of America, but the divided States of America. At this rate, we run the same risk of civil war. We need to know when we debate, we're not just debating opinion. We're debating values, values of rights, values of religion, values and beliefs. We can agree on some things. We agreed slavery was wrong. We agreed women should have the right to vote and equal pay. We agreed. The nation eventually agreed. There are things we won't agree on, but we can make a try towards agreeing. We can make a compromise here and there, because without compromise, this nation will not survive. We need to debate, not fight, because when we fight, when debate leads to argument, argument will lead to violence. Violence leads to bloodshed. Bloodshed leads to the end of the nation. Bloodshed leads to the divided states of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.